Alright, today I know you guys have all made banana nut bread today, but here's the key ingredient. We're going to be using darkened bananas that are rotten and gross, that normally you'd throw away, but we're going to use them. The secret to this banana nut bread is that we're going to be using butter instead of the typical oil that people usually use to make banana nut bread. It makes it a little bit more dense and kind of creamy tasting and more delicious, and doesn't make it crappy garbage that nobody wants to eat. So let's get started.
Okay, I'm going to start here. And because a bunch of people complained about not being able to see the ingredients well enough, I strapped this sucker to my chest instead of to my head, so I hope you're happy. I guess squeaky wheel gets the grease, so congratulations, you just got greased. So I'm going to take 5 bananas, I'm going to put it in 5 ripe bananas, very ripe bananas, and throw it into a bowl here. And actually this does work better with the camera on my chest, because now I actually get to see what I'm videotaping, and I can go like, ooh, look at those bananas, yeah. Look at this little piece of banana right here, see that? And draw it over here and go, ooh. There we go. Alright, so 5 bananas. Okay, once you get those bananas in the bowl, drop the lid down, lock it. Go ahead and mash your bananas up in a mixer. And then we're going to grab some sugar. Alright, Catherine. Alright, now we're going to put 2 cups of sugar in here. A lot of sugar. Banana nut bread has a lot of sugar, which makes it delicious. So 2 cups of sugar, and we're going to blend that together with the bananas. So far this is just pretty much like a regular banana nut bread recipe, but oh, it will get so different, so very, very different. Alright, now we're going to add 4 eggs, and if you know what you're doing with eggs, you won't have to use both hands. The eggs will taste better if you crack the egg and drop it in with one hand, like this. Just grab it with your thumb, like this, and pull with your 2 fingers, and drop the egg in. If you do it with 2 hands, the egg will not taste as good, and the banana nut bread will taste gross as a result. So this is one of the big secrets of making banana nut bread, is you have to use your thumb and 2 fingers to crack the egg, drop it in. Look at that, no shells. Perfect. Once again, 2 fingers like this, thumb right there. You go, just put a little bit of a crack in it, like that. Push your thumb into the crack and pull down with your thumb, pulling up with your fingers, and drop it in, no shells. And then that frees up your other hand to slap your children or other things, or grab forks and throw them at people or whatever you want to do. Alright, we got 2 cubes of butter that we put in the microwave. We're going to soften up just for like about 10 seconds, so it's not melting but very softened. Alright, so we're going to chuck this butter in here, 2 cubes. I'm going to drop in butter. Nice and soft. Drop that in there. Okay. Have to make sure they're pretty soft, just on the verge of melting. Otherwise you get chunks of butter in there and you get like little holes in your banana nut bread. Mix that up. So like I said, we're not using oil, we're using butter. So I've mixed the eggs in there, all 4 eggs and 2 cubes of butter, and we're going to mix that for a little while to get the butter mixed in, and we'll be back. So mix that for about like 4 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, till the butter starts mixing in pretty well. Here are the leftover banana peels. You want to save these, and you're going to dice them and put them on top of the banana nut bread. So I'm just going to put them in my little safe drawer here, and save those for later when we're going to put them on top of the banana nut bread. Yeah, so just keep them in the drawer there. And now we're going to add some vanilla and soda. Got some nice Mexican vanilla that we bought in Mexico. We travel there 3 times a year because we're so rich. So let me do about a teaspoon of vanilla here. Drop it in. And then we're going to do about 2 teaspoons of soda. I've got a tablespoon here. My teaspoons are all dirty because of my kids, so I'm just going to make it look like about a teaspoon. There's 1 teaspoon, and there's about another teaspoon. So then we're going to add about half teaspoon of butter. Then we're going to add about a half teaspoon of salt. Drop that in so we get a little bit of salt flavor in it. And now the flour, 4 cups of flour to finish this off. And then we're going to mix this really well. Have still some butter chunks in there, but that'll all mix in once the flour gets in. I said if the butter is too hard, it will not mix in too well. So make sure that it's soft, very nice and soft right before it melts, but not quite so it melts. So, okay, we're going to let that mix for a few minutes so it's all the flour is saturated and the butter is kind of all evenly mixed in, so you don't have big chunks of butter left in it. Okay, so what I've done here is I've whipped it, did a little bit on high for a little while. You got all whipped and kind of foamy, all the butter's mixed in.
Alright, now we're going to grab some walnuts after we've mixed the batter there, and we're going to dump our walnuts into a plastic bag, about a cup's worth. A cup's worth there. We're going to seal this bag. Going to grab a mallet and kind of push the air out of that a little bit. Alright, and with our kitchen mallet, we're just going to sit here and pound your nuts until they're kind of crunched up, till you get all of them kind of crunched up into kind of littler nuts. And then, okay, once that's done, open up our bag and just chuck it into the dough and mix it into the dough. Just dump them all in. Once those are done, just go ahead and mix it for a minute until you get all the nuts mixed in.
Grease and flour the pans. If you're using like a Pam or something like that, some of the spray stuff, this works just fine. Spray it in the pan, do just a teeny bit of grease, just ever so slight. And by slight, I mean quite a bit. Okay. You can also use like Crisco and wipe it in there. These are non-stick pans too, so this will help. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of flour in each one. And then we're going to shake this around, just knock it around until the flour catches onto the grease. Once it's in there, then you just do this. I like to do this little thing here where you just kind of just lightly drop it and knock out the flour there. So you have this kind of nicely coated flour, so you don't have big chunks of flour on your bread. Like an idiot, I forgot to turn on the camera while I was putting the stuff in, but you guys can figure it out. But I've got two of these large pans here. I'm scooping the filling, or not the filling, the batter into these pans. Using a rubber spatula so you get every single ounce, so you can have every little bit of fat and sugar that you can possibly get. Alright, once that's done, we've got 2 loaves here. We've got our oven heated up to 350. I don't know if you can see that. Got our oven heated up to 350 here. So we're going to take this stuff, and we're going to put it in the oven and cook it. And then there's a little bit of secret to cooking. I mean, you just cook until it's done.
Okay, 45 minutes later, we open up the oven here and check out the bread. It's still seeming a bit gooey, so you can kind of see the moisture on top, so I'm going to shut it. And I'm going to put it in for about another 10 minutes, so it'll be about 55 minutes before we kind of check on it again. Alright, so 55 minutes into the process, we check on the bread. We're going to stick a toothpick into it now and see how it comes out. Come on, just a teeny bit moist, which is just about perfect. Because now what we're going to do is we're basically going to shut the oven. We're going to shut the oven off, turn it off, and let it sit for about another 10 minutes with the oven off. That way it doesn't overcook, it doesn't get too brown. It turns out quite nice. So 10 more minutes. Alright, once that's done, 10 minutes in a turned off oven, we're going to take this stuff out. Perfect. Done perfect here, so take each one out. Then we're going to, before it even really cools down, we're going to dump this stuff out onto a cooling tray. Let it cool on a cooling tray. That way it doesn't get too much humidity on it, soaking up all the humidity from cooling off inside the pan. And then we're done. And we're going to cut it, put some butter on it, let it cool for about 10 minutes, and we're finished.